So today is August the 1st. Hold on a second. Okay, so today, um, while I'm eating my dinner, I'm going to talk about. I had a great conversation with my Lyft driver talking about artificial intelligence and what it can do for the road, safety on the road with police, how it can help in the schools, and and what it can do for systemic racism. So, I really enjoyed talking to him because this is such a topic as far as what goes on, how it goes on, as far as what artificial intelligence can do. So, the other day I had a wonderful idea of artificial intelligence helping to prevent natural disasters such as um, a hurricane, working with the hurricane season in Florida. How literally God can get the glory by dividing the waters again in such a way that when the water levels reaches a certain when the water reaches a certain level, it will split and the water will take a detour. And I drew this out before, and I called it an artificial intelligent reservoir system. And so what it does is take the water from Florida, because they have too much, and it gives it to places like California that had a drought season. And we put a toll road to it, and people pay to ride on it, and that brings in revenue. That's a really good idea. Every time I say it, I think it's a good idea. The Lyft driver told me, he was like, yeah, that's really smart. So I think so too. I didn't tell him about that. I was telling him about keeping kids safe at school with artificial intelligence around the perimeter. So by putting artificial intelligence outside of the perimeter, we can keep kids safe. So I told him about that, and he thought that was a good idea. And I told him about my wonderful idea about keeping the police safe, keeping people safe on the road from people that are driving with weapons, narcotics, all of that stuff. Um, it's putting artificial intel in the police vests and in their um, what do you call those things? The um, guardrails on their car, so that when they pull up behind you, if you're doing something wrong, just like the computer tells them about your tag and it flags it down and it tells them if they pass you, they got a bad tag, it already has scanned. Same thing. You're doing the same thing. It's just looking for weapons and packages that look like drugs. So let's say it says such and such has a weapon and it's not registered. They'll know before they pull the car over to get ready. Call for backup, lock the car down, lock the doors, come across the speaker and let them know. This way, the officer isn't approaching the car and this person has a gun. This is 2024. They shouldn't be risking their lives like that no more. They're not getting paid enough. That's why they ain't doing no work right now. Because they ain't getting paid enough. Police said they Done with that. So, in order to fix that, we need to give them more intel so that they can do a job that is according to their creed, which is to protect and to serve the public in a way that it increases their chances of going home safe. If we have this intel that tells them before they approach the suspect that this dude is licensed. I mean that he is armed, and you need to call for backup and be careful. And then artificial intelligence is so intelligent that it's going to do this silent. So it's not even going to alert the suspect, like when police call for backup and the suspect can hear them calling for backup. Artificial intelligence is going to communicate that in a secret code so that only the officials can hear that artificial intelligence is calling for this and that they're in response. And you'll just see, officials show up. What I don't think that we need to be in fear of artificial intelligence because of the simple fact of the artificial intelligence is the solution to natural disasters and problems that man can't solve. Man cannot get rid of systemic racism, racial biases. It cannot do. I don't care who you put in the White House. I don't care who you elect as your local governor, solicitor, or governor. They cannot attack this battle because you can't override the human opinion. And so if we want to address systemic racism, if we want to address racial profiling, if we want to address black on black crime, if we want to address senseless police brutalities and shootings, what we have to do is we have to understand how to address the issue from a different angle. And that means that what we do in order to address systemic racism, we're looking at it from the opposite side of the stick. What does a person that is of a racist nature, what would they want to do to the black culture? And if you can answer that question, then you know where they're in operation. For example, if you had an ice cream truck, where would you want to sell ice cream? You would probably want to go near school functions, after school kickball games. You would probably want to go to neighborhoods. So same as with issues, systemic issues that we want to overcome and combat. We want to address the issues from an opposite side of the pole. We want to address it in such a way that we can ask those questions to promote critical thinking. If we know that systemic racism is in medical care, it's in employment, it's in banking, it's in finance, it's in education, if we know this, then we say, okay, these are the areas where we need that system in place so that it is constantly monitoring and implementing suggestive actions to decrease systemic racism. And this is where artificial intelligence gives us this hope. It gives us hope. It gives us this solution to what we have wanted forever. We fought as a black culture to get the right to vote. Now, artificial intelligence maintains your stance on that vote. We fought for the right to go to college with others, such as whites and um, Asians, and that. We fought for that right. We won it. Now, artificial intelligence makes sure that when you're going to these Ivy League schools, that you're getting the same education, that you're not paying more for your education than your peers. We fought for the right to work and be paid equally, regardless of our race, gender, sexual bias. We fought for that right. We won it. So artificial intelligence monitors to ensure that if you're black, you're getting paid as much as the white. If you're gay, you're getting paid as much as the white. If you're single, or if you're handicapped, that you're getting paid as much. Everyone is getting paid across the board. So this is where artificial intelligence gives us hope. This is where artificial intelligence gives us a balance. This is where we can see a shift in our economy, where we can see a shift in our social changes, in socialism. We can start to see a shift. We can start to see a change. If we can shift in this area, this will relax our economy in such a way that people will become more productive. And this is what we want. We don't want to have foster a community that is stressed, that is not productive, that is not producing in such a way that we can continue for the world to evolve. Earth is counting on us to evolve as it is evolving, meaning we have to keep up with the times. We have to keep up with what's going on in the environment. We have to keep up with what's going on the planet. Now, going all the way back to the movie of Armageddon, it was some kind of meteosphere, something meteoroid or asteroid coming towards Earth that they had to figure out how to counteract it, to stop it, so that it would save the planet. Now, that's an extreme approach to what I'm saying, but if you really look at what I'm saying on an opposite end, it's about the same thing. What we're having to do in order to save the planet is we're having to produce in such a way that we're saving the planet, that we're addressing climate control, that we're addressing these systemic issues that affects the energy of the planet as a whole. Because as I said, one issue goes into the next, but it all affects the shape and the trajectory of our planet. Why? Because it's all energy. And you may say, I don't believe that. Well, let me show you how. If you have a whole culture that is not producing, if they keep going with these slavery hush-hush tactics in the black community, what's going to happen is you're going to have a mass of Negroes being released from prison that are uneducated, that are not able to sustain in such an AI developed society. This is going to cause a burden on the economic system, meaning you will be riding these individuals, taking care of them, which is pulling on the resources. Now, you say, well, okay, that's just money. It is not just money. It is also in planet development. How is that? Because the entire culture is expected to cultivate in such a way that it creates that spin, that energy level that goes through the earth, that goes through the solar system, that goes through the planet, that goes through climate change, that goes through global warming. All of this is affected. Now, let's prove that. When you go through a black neighborhood where there is high levels of poverty, trauma, and depression and mental health. The environment is not producing in the same as when you go over to the white neighborhood. When you go into the black neighborhood where there are high levels of trauma and systemic abuse, the environment is not producing in such a way. It is not the same. The grass does not look the same. It's going to be less. The ground will be harder in some areas. It will not produce in the same way as if you go over to, let's say, Alpharetta, where everyone is working, thriving, this and another. And why is that? Because in Alpharetta, they're going to work. They're happy. They're recycling. They're not as home. They're not using as much energy. No, the fumes are not going into the air. People are being kind to the air. So it's giving them an aura. They're getting the energy that you release, that you can see coming from the trees. The trees are not burned because they're not getting so much sun exposure because it's more shaded. When you go over to the black people neighborhood, the trees are bare. They're coming down. They look brown. They're not as productive. They're not as full. They're not. You don't have the plants all over. You don't have the excess greenery. You don't have all of this green life into the projects. Why is that? What does that do? Every time they're out there smoking, drinking, polluting, all of that, that is what makes that part of the environment bad in layman's terms. So that is how trauma and systemic injustices affects the planet and why it produces higher levels in the ghetto. Everything is more aggressive in the ghetto. Everything. Everything. From higher rates of pollution to everything is higher and more agitated in the ghetto. And why is that? It's because the levels of energy and toxicity that is coming from that area, from the trauma as a whole, is not producing enough green effects to sustain itself. Now, what does that mean in lamest terms? That means that if you have a group of people of 10 and they all live in this one street and such, everybody got guns and everybody got drugs. Nobody's working. They're waiting on the government to pay their rent. They're waiting on the government to give them food stamps. They're having children. They're getting having unplanned pregnancies. All of that trauma is on that one street. Well, guess what? If it's all that trauma on that one street, who is conserving the planet on that one street? Nobody's watering, that's for sure. So there's no grass growing. It's not green over there. Nobody's watering. Nobody's recycling, that's for sure. Nobody's doing that. They're trying to stay alive. They're trying to eat. They ain't got time to be out there trying to make sure no trees stay alive. We trying to stay alive. So they're not doing that. They're not eating healthy and properly so that they're more productive to the society to get off of these systemic crutches. They're not. So these are just a few ways of how trauma and systemic abuse and the crutches that I call them, this is how they enable this form of life to continue to exist. So artificial intelligence, to me, addresses all of these issues, all of them across the board, every last one of them. And it even transforms the ghetto. Why? Because it is looking at the resources that the government is putting out. Let's say they said, well, we're putting out $5 million a year just to take care of them 10 families. Because we paying their food stamps, we paying their medical bills, we paying their rent. We pay $5 million to take care of 10 families in 1 year. Well, CORE is saying that's retarded. You might as well take that $5 million and you might as well do a one-time investment into a system that is going to build each one of them according to independent structures in the community that you already have. That means that they're codependent on a system that is dependent on a third party system to build these individuals back up. So just like the government said, all right, well, Walmart, if you don't close for COVID, I'll give you an extra X amount $1 million to keep Walmart open during COVID so these people can keep jobs. Well, same thing. I'm giving you X amount of dollars to build these individuals up because none of these build the likelihood of them having a diploma is less than likely. The likelihood of them having a job that is not minimum wage, that is not above minimum wage, less than likely. The ability that they don't have the skills or assets that they need to sustain themselves in the event of a life change, such as artificial intelligence takeover, then what we need to do is I'm giving you money for these jobs to build these people up. This is what you're doing. This is how we're changing the trajectory of that street. Because we got companies that say, all right, I'll sign up Starbucks. I'll sign up Walmart. I'll sign up Amazon. I'll sign up FedEx. I'll sign up. All right, now what we're doing is we're taking those families, the same $5 million what you're getting, you're going to go work at these places. And you're going to work and you're going to take this training on the side and we're going to pay you. We're going to give you the same benefits that you were getting. We're just going to give them to you in a different way. So that at the end of this year, we ain't just forked out $5 million, but we put out $5 million that's actually going to give us a residual return because your black tail ain't gonna keep riding this system. Because we have put places or things in place to get you out of the situation that you're in, and we're not dependent on you to find it. We're going to actually hold your hand, give you that one lifetime crutch to build you back to a state of self-sufficiency so that you could do what? Thrive. Because when you thrive, we now have that whole portion of the economy at work. And if we have that portion of the economy at work, we have a what? A stronger economy. You can't have a full economy if only the Latinos, the Asians, and the whites are producing. That ain't gonna work. Everybody can't ride the slave. Everybody can't ride the Negroes. Everybody, the Chinese come over here and they sell their rice. The Latinos come over here and they do our yards and they sell flowers. The Indians come over here and to just say it sounds retarded to me that they come over here and buy up every single hotel that we got and don't leave us a one, and then send all of their money back out of here, and we don't tax them higher, and when we come in here they don't speak, and they be the main ones at the source of the most trauma ever. You ain't never seen no black people blowing up nothing. You ain't seen no black people getting in no planes going nowhere. You ain't seen no niggers getting in no mass nothing. We don't even have the ammunition to do it. We can't even think that far on that level. That's not in our culture. That's not what we do. We don't even do it. They stay out there shooting amongst their own selves. They don't even go over to the white people neighborhood and shoot. They don't even shoot the Indians, and they damn sure don't shoot the Chinese. So in that regard, why is so much pressure on the black community when the black community ain't doing that but just trying to get along? They just trying to live. They just trying to live and get by and produce. But we're the most in the prisons. We're the most on mental health. We're the most with mental health disorders. We're the most with disease. We're the most that populate the gay and what is it? How do you say LGBTQZ community? We're the most in every category. The Negro culture is dominating across the board. So if I was in this position to look at that to say, it's an ugly truth, but is she right? I'm right. So what is the solution? A president cannot fix that. A Democrat, Republican, it doesn't matter. They can't fix that. Artificial intelligence can fix that. The man can only pass the bill for artificial intelligence to do that. That's the man's job. That's who we want to elect. The person that will give us that right to say, she's right. Necessarily don't like her approach and her verbiage, but is she right? Yeah. What do we do? Because she's right. In the next year, how many Negroes will get released from prison? What kind of resources do they have? And are we releasing them from prison to do one of two things? Either come and get out and ride our system on the opposite side, or come and get out and get on our system on the medical side. But they're not releasing them with enough resources to say you can sustain yourself in an environment that we know has changed dramatically, that you don't know what in the world is going on because we put you in prison for 30 years and just released you and didn't even give you a dog. So in that regard, they're only setting him up to fail, or her to fail in one or two ways. But either way is setting the system up to take care of him or her. And that's what we don't need. If you keep going with that trajectory in that way, what is it going to do to our resources down the line? So going back to the initial beginning before I went over there, because all of this is really connected. What we need to do is use artificial intelligence in a way and in a manner that gives us resources for a better tomorrow. This means that as a whole, as a unit, the world will decide to do what? Go green. Now, that is a simple statement, but it has powerful results. Now, if you don't believe me, take a Roku TV, for example. And I just had a trigger of a thought of something else, because they showed me that screen and that wasn't a Roku TV. So that means that somebody's, I'll get back to that later, but this is how it triggers me off. But I'm going to use that to build this statement. I was looking at TV, the Roku screen comes up. Now I want y'all to get on your psychological glasses here and let's dissect Roku's screensaver. Because somebody's saying that she's nuts. All right, well, I'm going to show you that I'm not. All right, several things is going on this Roku screensaver. There is a robot that's bigger than the whole city, and he's crooked. All right, he has his hands like this, and he's crooked, and he's bigger than the entire city, and he's doing this. All right, that's number one. The second thing I want you to look at is there is an alien, and there's green light, and it's right over the time. And I want you to pay attention to the clock time that is on that screensaver. That's number two. And then number three, there is a race car in there, and the number on that race car is important. And then number four, I want you to pay attention to, there's a building on the Roku TV, and there are apartments or some type of housing development, and there are different lights in different colors. Everybody is not the same color. That is the purpose of my point right here. They use that to say that everybody is living on a different time system and in a different color, and is moving towards the change of that time in our environment at a different level. And that once we all combine and unify on one level, all of those colors together, we will move towards the world going green. And this will change the trajectory of that time because we will be pulling from a different source, which is going to attract us more to this alien society that we know exists. They just don't walk amongst us at Walmart yet. And that's because we haven't had enough energy yet to pull them closer. But they know, just like we know that they're out there, they know that we out here too. The only thing that we have that they don't have is that level of energy that keeps them where they are. But as we begin to pull from a different source to sustain our environment, more of their environment will become here, if that makes sense to you. It's just like if I was to use this in a practical explanation, if we only have oranges on our planet, but we're starting to know that bananas are on this planet, and if we start to pull more bananas and they like bananas too, then they will eat from their planet and this one too, because they're still eating bananas. They don't want our oranges, but we want the bananas. So in that regard, maybe not a bad, maybe not the best explanation for a scientific explanation, but it means the same. Once we stop pulling from the sun and pull towards from a different source to power our planet in the future, we will change the trajectory of our solar system. Once we do that, now we're saving the planet. Now we're seeing green life produced in a way that we've never seen it before. And that's because the sun will push back, the earth will cool itself more than it is now, so that we can have more vegetation and see different forms of life than what we do right now. This is why in the Bible it tells you that towards the end of the world, we'll start to see creatures that we've never seen before. They'll start coming from the water. They'll start coming from this part and that part, because the world is going to change. So as the world changes, different animals, aliens, or whatever these creatures are that God created, then we will see them. It's facts. Look in your Bible. So in that regards, what the Roku TV is saying is what I already said. The Roku TV is saying that once you start pulling from a different source, it's going to change your time. You'll be able, they won't be flying like they flying right now anymore. Why? Because when you pull from a different source and you understand how fast, see, right now you're traveling at the speed of light. Light. No, we're not going to be traveling at the speed of light in the future. We're going to be traveling at the speed of energy. And energy doesn't die. It doesn't die. This is why it's a renewable energy that we can get you can get so many things from it. Because electricity, if that line pop, it's pop. You got to make another one. You got to put two and two together. Energy don't work that way. It don't die. It just transforms from one thing to the other. So understanding that, if you was to put energy into a vehicle, for example, it won't be a vehicle, but if you was to put energy into my Tesla 24 T24, then what you will see is that Tesla will move in and out of time, because whereas it will take you on a plane, probably 4 hours to go to New York, and in that Tesla probably be 10 minutes, 5 minutes to go there. So that's a different time zone. You coming back here, you're in the same time zone. Okay, let's go out of the country. Might take you out of the country probably a couple of hours. Then you be back in the same time. So you're going in and out of time. That's why that energy is over that time clock on that Roku TV. That is what that means. It's symbolic to where our world is going, which is why that is so close to that cricket robot that is in the air, that is bigger than everything. Because people say, Well, if AI take over, that's why you see the robot bigger than anything. Roku is saying that robot is artificial intelligence. Now, artificial intelligence, like I said, that along with pulling energy from a different source, this is how we will have new resources. This we won't use. You had gas coming up as a kid, you put gas in your tank. They came up with a battery that said, all right, we got a battery now, that's electric. All right, where do you think the next battery is going to fill your car? And it's going to be an evergreen, but it ain't going to be an evergreen like what they sell at Walmart. That is not what we're doing in the future. Your car will run from energy. That's what it's going to run from. And that's what we're going to fuel our world from: energy. A renewable energy that is an abstract and a concrete form. And this is what's going to turn the world to the wow, look at what we can do. And that's what you're going to get, that aha effect. And that is what is going to be called going green. And this is why in the future, very near future, it will be very few diseases that you cannot cure, strictly with the implementation of artificial intelligence, the methods of cloning, and energy transformation. It's not going to be, you can take literally a person with a disease, cancer, and literally implement that microcard and regulate their body and what those chromosomes should be, and let artificial intelligence hook them. They will hook to another system, and artificial intelligence will basically clone their systems and trade them. It's weird how I'm saying it, but that's the way it's going to work. It will literally, you're basically hooking up to a system and getting your system, your blood, took from one to the other and putting it back in and making you a new person. So but like cancer spreads in the blood. Not anymore, not with artificial intelligence transformation, it won't. Because your blood will come out of your body and go into the clone system, and it will make that blood and regulate those cells just the way it's supposed to be, perfectly, and then put that blood right back in your body, and it's going to be right. Right now they're doing it, and they're doing it at bioplasma, but they're not doing it in the way with artificial intelligence added to it. That's why they don't have no results get there. That it's not just about radiating the patient to remove the cancer. It's about, because you can't radiate in certain places because it's too strong. This is why people go bald. This is why people stop losing appetite, why they're so weak, because the body can't take it. But once you put a barrier there, which is why you're going to start using methods that God has given me to protect the body, to receive the radiation, but to add to the radiation. This is going to remove the cancer. Then once you remove the cancer, the mass, now you got to remove it from the body, which is the blood. Now you got to do energy transformation, which is going to take that blood from the negative point to the positive, which literally you'll be able to put the blood into the system and literally have the system, artificial intelligence, remove every trace of cancer using formulas that you have to implement, that is going to be case by case, person by person. It won't be that you just put this in and then we did it and then it worked for all. It's not going to be that way. It can't be that way. It's individual based. You have to go in, you have to go through an assessment. I have dreamed about this over and over and over again. And every time God gives me this dream, it's one body laying here and it's a system right here. And you get connected to it, and your blood, you lay there for about 72 hours, and your blood is going through, it's power cycling. And it's a clone version of you, of what you should be, perfect. Everything, your BMI, your what, every freaking thing test under the sun is under this clone version of you. And you're laying here, and this is the part of you that need help. And you're going through, and it's first of all, removing the cancer. Then the second part is where you go through energy transformation. And it's going through similar to a laser, and it's removing all of the cancer cells from your blood and implementing cells, artificial cells to your body, transferring that blood back over. And this is when you'll wake up cancer free. It's over. It's a wrap. You can go home. You're not overextended. You're not tired. You didn't have to lose your hair. You're not bald. You will have very little to minimum side effects at all, because all it's doing is removing the toxins from your body and from your blood, transferring the blood back over. It's a blood transfusion, but it's a little more than that. You're getting your same blood back, but what it's doing is eliminating the cells from your body and from your blood that don't need to be there. And on the places where cancer is harder to operate, this is why you have a new form of artificial intelligence and lunar energy that is helping you to remove the mass and the cancer cells. So all of this is a part of where medical science is going. So you will have very little, very, very little diseases that we will not be able to cure, including paralysis. It will be the exact same way, because basically it'll be just like what you see on TV. To give you an example, when the Terminator, and they shot him, and they watched that energy connect back over again, and it was connecting, and cells formed. Now this is an artificial intelligent robot, but it will do the very thing for the body. When cells die, when someone gets a surgery, or this happened and that happened, it will have the ability to repair the body and replace cells instantaneously with artificial intelligence and with this method that I want to call biocloning. I want to call it that. It's energy transformation, but I want to call it biocloning. I want to call it that, biocloning, because that's what it's doing. It's taking the part of you that needs help and the clone perfect, it's creating you on paper, like in a system. Everything on this system is you and how it should be in a perfect world. And so what it's doing is taking that perfect part of you to replace the parts of you that are not right. And this is where we're going. And this is why it's going to be very little that you can't cure with artificial intelligence, including paralysis. Because what we're going to do in paralysis, it all depends on the spine. So what you want to do is you want to supply energy in an artificial spine. You could do either one. You can supply energy, but the way that I had it is supply a spine, artificial spine, just like we'll use artificial organs that work with artificial intelligence, that works with an adapter that gives you everything you need, that provides stimulation to the brain, that same area. And once you do that, it's power. That's just like you have what do I call those things? When you push something, a pressure point, and they say you touch this part and this hurt. It's the same thing. If you want to supply a movement, well, what part is not getting movement? What part is not working? That is not receiving the fire, or is not receiving the activity trigger to that part of the brain. That's where the stimulation is going, supplied to what's in the back, and that's going to promote the movement. That's what's going to do it. The artificial spine, going to connect to the part in the brain, and that is going to give you that movement with an external variable or adapter that either can go in the wrist or that can go through it. You can get it different ways depending on how much that you want to have done. If you want to come out of there and look like you ain't got nothing done, then that's the part of the surgery that you'll have it under your skin, that go under a part of your brain, and that go under the skin of your back, and you'll be walking again. Or if you want to say, well, no, I don't want to do it that way. I'd just rather have a remote, or I have that, or a micro card. It could go that way. But that is where medicine is going, because it's nothing that you can't supply power to. The organs, people will no longer have to wait on they need a kidney. Why? You don't need a kidney anymore. This is 2024. We can use artificial simulation and artificial intelligence to put an artificial kidney in your body that makes it pump, and you can see when it's needing to pump and when it needs to filter. And this is going to let people have controlled dialysis at home. It'll come with a machine. It'll be an app on your phone, and it'll have a backup to it. So if your phone ever went dead, or if you ever lost or whatever, you got this hard copy right here in your house. You hook up to that, it's reading the function of this kidney and keeping you alive. We don't have to do this. They're waiting on kidneys. They're waiting on hearts. They're waiting on this. You don't have to wait on that stuff anymore. This is all going to move to an artificial level that is going to be made of pig skin. And you take that, that's what's going to be allowed in your body. Sterile. Made as it needs, sterilized, inserted into your body, hooked up through energy transformation, laser connections, connecting those cells back right the way they need to be. Seamless. Coming out, having it done, connecting to the third party resource, which is going to be the phone or a remote or an external variable. And this is what you're going to read and going to connect, and this is what's going to keep you alive. And with an artificial heart, this is technically going to lead into people having the theory that you can live forever. It's going to go into similar to being the fountain of youth in so many ways, because the implementation of artificial intelligence will let you create new cells over again. So anti-aging is going to be a thing of the past, because artificial intelligence will be able to enhance your body to a younger or different time of who you are, your greater self. So it's going to go into that, really almost like the fountain of youth. That's what it's kind of going to turn into. And that's why you've seen Professor Klump, similar. He drank the potion, but it won't be a potion. And all of his things changed on there, and he went back. They made that movie off of what science is, to see how people would perceive it. They only make movies based on the intel they already have, or where they're already going. So in that regards, this is why I said medicine treating cancer and curing disease will be the same way. Your perfect you will be on the screen. Your part of you that needs help will be on the left. They will swap. That clone part of you will go through a transformation, and those cells will be swapped. There you go. That's where medicine is going. That's why it's going to be very little in this world that we ain't going to be able to fix. But at the same time, that's where God is going to come in, because God is going to come right at the point. Once everything, we've had this peaceful period, the Bible speaks of the tribulation period, and we'll go through all of these advances and these cures. These cures and these advances will give people knowledge of Christ and who he is. And once they do that, then they'll say, all right, I want to accept God or they won't. And when everybody has had the chance to hear about God, that's when he's going to come back. And that's when the world will become different for those people that don't believe in him. But for those that believe in him, God is making a way and he's provided for up until the day of his return. He said he'll never leave us nor forsake us. So it's not that we won't have things to address. We will, but he's provided pretty much everything that we need to take us through the next generation um, of prophecy. So there you have it. So I have been very motivated today to say that. I have to go check on my laundry, and I got to use the bathroom. But I love the fact that that I was able to share this with you guys. I hope you guys have a wonderful day. I will probably come back later on when I feel more enthused to talk more, but pretty much that's where we're going. All of this AI stuff, I don't think it's a bad thing at all. I am excited. You have to know what to do with that robot in order to make it work. And for all of the things that we need in this world, all the way to border control, artificial intelligence is going to be the answer to it. Artificial intelligence, the way that God showed me today, that artificial intelligence can divide the water, that was like the most amazing thing I've ever seen. Florida will never have another disaster again. That system just divides the water where it reaches a certain pressure point, and where a hurricane can be produced, that water is going to deflect and it's going to go elsewhere. That water reservoir system saves that. And that is like awesome. That's awesome. That God took what the enemy meant for harm, and I'm going to make this work. So they always have a hurricane system. All that extra rain, I'm going to give that rain to California because they had a drought. I'm going to make sure they never run out of water again. And then I'm going to put resources to it, and I'm going to make this a road and a highway so they can travel on it, and they'll pay, so that it'll pay for the money that they spent in no time, and with residual income to it. So that's a good idea. And it'll be an attraction, because where the water goes over, I saw lights, so that when people look up, they'll see it. But when they look up, they're seeing Jesus. I can cry when I think about that. He showed me that, and I saw the water, and I saw the lights, and it was green and blue, and people was riding under it, and I saw it like literally yesterday when I was praying, and I just cried because it was just the biggest miracle I've ever seen in my life, that God literally divided the waters again with artificial intelligence. Literally, theoretically, he did. Divided the sea again so that people can go through. It's awesome. I cried. I cried yesterday. I almost cried again because it's the most beautiful thing I have ever seen. And people were riding under it and just in awe of the technology that was over their heads, and that they knew what it was meant for, and that they knew that it came from God, that they knew that this is saving lives, that because we're riding under this road, Florida is forever safe, that because we're riding under this road, California will never have another drought, that because we're riding under this road, every state that we pass through, they get money, they get dividends from this. And it was just the best thing ever. And so I don't know, I almost teared up again just thinking about it. And so God gave me that idea, And I just wanted to jump on here to share it. Um, I felt really, 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 really good about it. Um, it's just been another hour of power. And I'm going to come back later on and talk to y'all later. But that's all for now. So I'll talk to y'all soon. Bye for now. Bye, guys.